Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365. Joined now by our good friend of the show from CBS Sports, Jeff Kerr, joining who's been down at practice. Jeff, how you doing on this Thursday, man? One day out from the preseason starter, Jeff.
Sandra, you gonna buy Cozy TV?
I don't think I'm buying Cozy TV, Jeff.
Cozy TV's free, but I don't know if you can get it. Evidently, I've been doing some research. It used to be NBC nonstop. What the? I never heard of that.
If you want to watch like Frasier reruns and all those like shows that are on Peacock,
but they have Peacock. I mean, NBC is Peacock. Why do they have two?
There's like 800 of these things now. And I think I saw a tweet from you, John. Isn't there like a new one coming out with Disney?
Yeah,
yeah.
They're doing
$50 a month. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's expensive. Yeah.
I love how streaming's the future, and you just made streaming cable.
I know
exactly.
You're right. You're right, Jeff.
It's more expensive if you want to buy everything.
I know.
I say this to my coworkers at CBS on NFL Sundays. They get so mad because I have the Sunday ticket. I have cable, and I'm 2 minutes ahead of them. And I was like, "Oh, did you guys see a touchdown?" They're like,
"Oh yeah, well yeah."
Oh, they get furious. I'm like, "Why you pay money to be behind? I don't understand."
Well, what's the deal? Why is it on? Why is there no local component?
All right, you ready for this?
Yes.
NBC's got the Olympics Friday night.
Well, that's
NBC
true.
Sports Philly, where they would push it to, has the Phillies. So they're going to take precedent.
But they've always, in the past, they've made local deals, usually with 17.
Well, it's only and they might, but NBC Sports Philly Plus has it too. If you have that, that's
who the hell has NBC Sports Philly Plus?
If you had,
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, if you had,
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, so that's where it got pushed to because of all their programming.
That's astonishing to me. By the way, I had no idea this was going on. I mean, I don't watch the games on TV anyway, so it doesn't affect me. But,
John, when's the last time you watched an Eagles game on TV?
Well, I generally DVR it and watch it back after.
No. I mean like live because you go to all the games.
Yeah, there's a couple I've missed. So every once in a while, I'll watch I'm not going to Brazil, so I'll watch that game on.
You're wise for not going to Brazil. You might not come back.
What channel is that game on? Peacock.
That's on
right?
Peacock. That's a Peacock game.
Well, Peacock I can handle, but I'm still surprised. I assume there's going to be a local over-the-air component for that.
So this is the NFL. What the NFL does, if there's a game exclusively to streaming like Prime Video, they have to put it on.
Yeah, they have to put it on the local. Yeah,
so it will be on NBC 10. So I keep telling fans, don't subscribe to Peacock if you don't have to.
I guess they don't care about the preseason games, and they shouldn't because But boy, this surprises me. I got to pay more attention to those game notes because if I would have saw Cozy TV, I would have took notice.
I liked Zach Berman's game note from the other day. If you saw it, John.
Which one?
The broadcast teams.
Oh, well, yeah. Howard's part of the broadcast team.
Yeah, no surprise there. Everybody thought he was gone. I'm like,
Howard, yeah, but and then I saw somebody said the Eagles are afraid. I think it might have been Nick Fierro, our buddy Nick Fierro.
He's got opinions.
The Eagles are afraid of Howard Eskin. Like, why would they be? Because he's going to rip them? Who cares? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. The Phillies did what they did. Obviously, the Sixers hate him, and the Eagles like him. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but he's part of the broadcasting crew. I don't care. I don't pay attention.
That's how I am too. It's like whatever.
But anyway, that's where we are there. So we'll turn the page on that. But I as far as this camp goes, Jeff, I was talking a little bit, and you've been there for the last week. The grind, the 4 consecutive practices. Offense as advertised, defense as advertised, right? I mean, offense looks rock solid. Defense, a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I mean, give credit to Kellen Moore, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, you name it. I mean, you can find a lot of offensive players that if we had to do a stock up, stock down poll, which Jimmy Kempski did, a lot of offensive players made that list because of how well that offense has been playing. I mean, do you think Jalen's had even an okay practice this camp? I think he's had a good practice every time I've been there.
Yeah, he's been rock solid. He hasn't thrown an interception over 10 practices, which is very rare.
Don't get me started on the whole training camp stat thing.
No, well, yeah, I laugh at the stats, but no, the actual that you know how training camp practices go. You can go on Twitter and watch them everywhere else, and people put up clips, and there's interceptions all over the place.
Yeah, hey, because 30 through 7 in 2 days.
Yeah, because the quarterbacks tend to stretch things and tend to try to make throws that they wouldn't normally do in regular games, as they're trying, sort of like a spring training pitcher trying to test things. How far can I go with this? How can I do that? And that's the interesting about Jalen. He seems to be playing. He's taking shots, but and it's good and bad, right? It's good from the perspective of Jalen's coming off an uncharacteristic season when it comes to ball security. He seems to have tightened up on that. But you're practicing against yourself, Jeff. So that means the defense isn't taking it away, which isn't good.
There was a fan theory, and I kind of agree with them when I was, just searching through X. Is Jalen's not throwing picks a sign of how well he's playing, or should we be concerned that the defense just can't get turnovers?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think he's playing really well, and I think the defense is playing really. I mean, how many times you see the safeties are lined up basically at the media house? For those who know the NovaCare, I mean, they start too high almost every play. They're not in position to make plays, and I think that'll change as you get closer. But that's what they're working on: those generic looks, and then spinning off into the coverage. And you face the same thing every day. You get better at it. You get good at it. So it's easy. And that's why the joint practice will be so important. The Patriots aren't a great team, as they have been in the past, but their struggles are more offensively. I would say they have a solid defense.
My bold prediction for the joint practice, I don't even want to call it a bold prediction, but you are going to hear a lot of positive things about the Eagles defense after that joint practice.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, because from what I've been told up there in New England, it has not been that great for Drake May.
No, they look bad offensively.
I almost wish it was a better offense that they're playing against.
Yeah. I wish they were practicing with the Ravens, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
That would have been a great test for him. Or heck, even the Vikings.
Yeah, well, certainly offensively. I don't know about defensively. Yeah, you know what? Defensively would have been good too, because Flores just brings
he mixes and
even
matches.
in practice. He
but like you've said, John, we have less questions on the offense, so I'd rather them get a good play against a team with a good offense to test our defense. But I don't think you're going to get that with the Patriots.
No, but I do think you're going to get a better handle on the offense. And there's probably, as Jeff says, it's probably going to look better than it really is for the defense. And it's probably going to look worse than it really is for the offense. I think you'll start to see things seeping out about, what happened to the offense? Because New England's going to be a representative challenge, and you're not going to have that constant too high look, making things maybe a little bit easier. But that's the nature of training camp, and we'll see. And speaking of Elliott's stats, he'll declare a winner or loser as well of practice.
It's funny. People hate him, but man, do they pay attention to him?
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I always say that. I respect Elliott for that reason. So
I can't do it. Like, if he asked me my 2 cents.
Well, I get it.
And I know he was an athlete. I said, "Did you care how many goals you scored in practice? Like when you played soccer?" That would have been my response.
But it's a perfect fusion of understanding the modern fan and how to play into them a little bit, and he does a good job. At it.
Well,
No, I respect the grind, I do.
nobody should hate Elliott. He's a very good dude.
Yeah,
but,
No, I have no problem with it. I think
mean,
a lot
there's
of
no
a lot of
controversy
fans
with
don't
the
like
guy,
him with the Deshaun Jackson thing. I guess that's where he gets a lot of flack. I think.
Well,
but
nobody even read that story. There's nothing, you know.
You know what upsets me about that? There's another writer that
There's
was with him on that story.
Yeah, he co-wrote it. That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, nobody reads that story. They don't even know what they're talking about when they talk about that story.
Well, you know what, John? Perfect example. Yesterday with Tim's story.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I got a little bit caught up in that because
you had the quote at training camp. It wasn't my story.
Yeah, well, I did not say I did. He was asking me a question. It is not my place to explain why Tim wrote the story, which I talked to Tim after practice. I said, because these morons are taking it a different way. And, he agreed with me. And it's not my place to say why somebody else wrote a story. So when Jalen asked me, I said, I didn't write it. That's it. That's all
Jeff
I said.
Kerr, in the works right now, behind the scenes at JAKIB Sports, there's a T-shirt being mass produced for the fans. I didn't write it.
I was right between John and Martin when all this is going on. I'm like, oh, how's this going to end up right now? I'm just thinking.
I mean, Jalen, I'm not going to say Jalen likes me, but I think Jalen respects me. He's so close to the best, but he generally answers my questions.
He did ask you directly.
Yeah. So, I mean, and by the way, if people didn't take it out of context, Tim jumped in and explained why he wrote the story, and Jalen, gave his explanation and what he thinks of it.
Well, the clip that went viral,
that big of a deal, but people take it out of context.
The clip that went viral bugged me because they purposely omitted Tim's response and Jalen's response to it. And it was a healthy discussion.
Exactly.
But we're
Jeff,
evil people.
I'm with you. That pissed me off. That 28-second clip that was put out. And
I'll tell you what, Xander, I'll go on a tangent here. What pissed me off was the other day, and again, respectful discussion. CJ Gardner-Johnson, when he went on his rant, I had the next question. Asked about Brett. I ain't answering that. Everybody's like, oh, he showed up that reporter. I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, he just didn't want to answer it. That's fine.
Yeah, that's Jeff. That's the social media world we live in, where clips are pulled. Small segments are pulled, and you never.
It's awful, and I felt bad about that because the clip was pulled. And by the way, I feel, and you get this as well when you just said it about yourself, Jeff.
Yeah.
And everyone, oh, he dunked on that reporter. These morons who think, first of all, go down there, get a credential, ask your own question.
Yeah.
You'd crap your pants if the quarterback was staring at you, asking you that question. All of you. So I don't give a crap.
Yeah. And it's funny because that same day, I got the quote from Devonta Smith, and I asked about Quinyon Mitchell. He said about the trash talking thing. It was great, he smiled about it.
Quinyon's hilarious with the trash talking. Like, he's such a quiet guy, and then all of a sudden,
I just love how Devonta played it out when I asked him. He goes, "Oh yeah, I only faced him once. I ran around, I caught it."
Right.
He talking trash.
AJ said he didn't talk to him. That he's like a rookie. He's like a shy rookie. AJ is obviously a big star. And all of a sudden, they're going against each other. He breaks up a pass and he says, "Trash route to AJ Brown." That's great.
Well, were you there when I asked Slay about like how he handles Q's trash talk, and he's like, he said, "Oh man, I love him. He's a quiet guy. Just kind of says it and goes back to the huddle."
I think that works more. Like, if you're a talker, like CJ's a talker, Slay talks more off camera, when he's on camera than off camera. He's not really that big of a talker on the field. But CJ's a big talker. There's other corners that are big talkers. I think it's more effective when you're quiet, and then you just drop it.
I would love it personally if I was a receiver going up against him. You catch a pass, and that's all part of the game. It's fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff,
Yeah.
Jeff. I got to ask you some questions about camp here. Let's get into it. One day out from the preseason game. Before I do that, Sean Mims drops $5. He says, "Get Fire Stick." I guess that's his.
I have
solution
two
to the-
Fire Sticks. I got Fire Sticks. I got Roku's. I got everything. My Cozy TV. I mean, I'm never going to use it. So why am I getting it? I'm just surprised the NFL doesn't have that over-the-air component. I'm surprised. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. And then
I
Carver
hate
says,
I hate to admit it, but again, my parents don't like the Miss Eagles, but they always text me that, that night or that day of what channel the game's on, because they know I know. I'm not going to get that text tomorrow because the Phillies are on and the Olympics are on. These are things that they're going to watch.
Yeah, it's preseason, so and if anybody plays again, get in front of Cozy TV very quickly because they're not going to be in there long. Would be my assessment. Yeah, and I would think at all. Now defensively, I do think. I guess we'll talk about the preseason.
I think we're going to see Isaiah Rodgers and a couple of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might piecemeal it, right? I mean, the offense, just what we're talking about. Look, if you play Jalen, even for a series, you got to play the whole offensive line. Do you want to do that? Those guys have been banged up a little bit.
I hope Ty Becton plays. That's the one.
Well, he's got to play, I think. A couple guys, and obviously the third receivers, and guys. Some guys have to play. Defensively, though, they need to work. So. And Vic seems to want him to play. So maybe they piecemeal it. Maybe it's offense. We don't need it. Defense, we probably need it. I don't know if that's the way they're going to go, but it would make sense.
I would agree with that. I mean, I definitely think you're going to see a taste of that defense. Do I think we'll see Slay? No. But
no.
But Isaiah Rodgers, yes. I think we're going to see James Bradbury maybe at safety.
You're going to see James at safety.
But by the way, John, that's still my big takeaway here from what I was told. Do not let that guy get an opportunity to.
I've been saying that since day one. Don't let Vic see.
They
like him. They like it. They do.
If you don't want Bradbury to play, don't. I said this directly to Howie Roseman on this show. I said, Howie, if you don't want James Bradbury, you better not let Vic Fangio see him. That has been my assessment since day one. Because
that's been the talk over the last couple of days. They like what they're seeing out of James Bradbury. I don't know how he's going to fit into this, but they like it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Jeff, what else have you seen? You've been down there at practice. You've been down there all week, right? Or for the last 4 days?
Yeah, I've been there. So what we had? 10 practices, John? I think I've been there for 8.
And you've been there. You were there for the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 4 day.
This week.
So what did you see? What stood out to you? I know there's a lot of talk about, the offense looking good, but from your perspective, what are the top 2 or 3 things that you're seeing at camp and that you will continue to monitor as camp goes on, as preseason goes on, and we're 29 days away now from the season opener. What are the top 2 or 3 things that Jeff Kerr has seen or is watching here in training camp?
Well, I'm like John. I probably haven't been that impressed with the linebackers. I mean, I think Zach Baun's going to be a starter. I think they do like him there, but again, that's more the state of the position than Zach Baun. I think they like his tenacity. I think they like his toughness. Like, he's the guy. Vic Fangio likes tough players, so I think Zach Baun is going to. Again, Devin White's not been good, but he's not been bad. If that makes sense, like, he's just there. Which, again, at linebacker, this is what it is. I've been jumping on the Trotter hype train a little more than I probably should have. I mean, he's making mistakes, but
hey, man,
he's making plays too.
Yeah.
Look, that depth chart is unofficial. I bring it up. It's made
by the communications department.
By the communications department. It's not the coaching staff, but trust me, Nick has looked at it. And they use the college slash, as a Penn State guy, you have those college depth charts. They always have the slash guys.
James
that
Franklin's
are even.
The king of the slash.
Yeah. They're even. And they had they had Trotter even with Zach Bond, and they had Nakobe and Devin even, which surprised me. I think Trotter's got a chance to play this year. Not week 1, but somewhere, because I don't think the linebackers are going to play well. And he's got some instincts, and that's half the battle at linebacker.
I mean, you and I saw it yesterday, John, when we were standing there, and he closed that play on Tyron Davis-Price, and Vaughn yelled, "Good eyes, Trot, good eyes."
Yeah.
Those are the plays he's making. He's penetrating the A gap. He's getting in the backfield in certain plays. It's again, he's making mistakes. They're still work in progress, but
what'd you make of yesterday? Because they churned linebacker for the first time.
All day long. It was a Russian roulette of sorts.
It was the first time Devin was on the second team purposefully that I've seen, unless I missed something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember him being on the second team in any of the practices I was at.
Well, I saw him take some second team snaps earlier, but he was always with the first team, and they were sort of like extra reps and stayed on with the second team. This time,
do you think Vic knows who his 2 linebackers are going to be week 1 yet?
I don't, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't either. I feel like Vic is so honest and blunt. Like if he knew, you would know. But I don't know, Jeff, because here's the thing. Here's the other side of it. The same 2 guys have started all 10 practices, whereas it's been different for corners. It's been different for, I guess not. That's the only other spot on defense where it's different.
It is weird.
Yeah. And you know what, John, though? It was funny. Like, Vic foreshadowed the question I asked him about Trotter because he was getting the first team snaps, and figured, you know what? Why not? I'm going to ask him. And he said, we're mixing and matching, he basically said, like, don't look too much into it, but he foreshadowed it because he's been doing that ever since he answered that question. Mix and match.
Well, they've all gotten first team reps.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to ask him how he looked at the first team, and he gave me a good answer. He was fine. That's what I needed.
Yeah. So in order, Devin's gotten the most, followed by Zach Bond, then Nakobe, then Ben Van Sumeren, then Trot.
He was BVS was a guy I thought would stock would rise in camp, and it hasn't yet.
Well, I think his stock is rising, not necessarily to be a starter, but I now look at him as almost coming into camp. I didn't think he was 100%er. I thought he was a bubble player, and I think he's close to being 100% now.
Well, I think he makes the team. Maybe I just thought there'd be more of a bigger role for him, but I think he makes the team.
Who's that you're talking about? Sorry, I missed it.
Ben
Van Sumeren.
Oh yeah, John. Yeah, John likes Ben. John, I like to give John credit because a lot of other Eagles podcasts don't talk about these types of players. Johnny Mack has been talking about every player on this roster. Ben Van Sumeren.
There are 2 people I say that actually talk about every Eagles player. There's one of them, and Andrew DeCecco. They're the 2.
Yeah, you're right. DeCecco does a great job, and we love when we get him on the show. Jeff, where are you on the Kobe Dean? Stock down?
Oh, it's down.
Yeah, it's down, right?
I haven't been too. I mean, he's great against the run, but unfortunately, in today's NFL, you actually kind of need to cover somebody.
Yeah, and you heard Vic say that too. You heard the coach of the defense kind of say that too the other day.
I love Vic Fangio. I hope Vic Fangio was here for 20 years. I really do.
Yeah. Vic is great from our perspective because you just ask him a question and he'll answer it.
And he'll give you a straight answer. He'll even give you a yes or no answer.
Yep. If you talk about analytics and his sharing of analytics, he will not answer, but he will say, no, I'm not telling you. He doesn't tell his disciples, so he sure as hell isn't going to tell us. That's going to be interesting. At some point, I'm going to ask Nick if he shares that stuff with him.
I don't think he is.
Oh, you'll get a 5-minute answer out of Nick.
Nick's kind of his boss, so that's interesting. We'll see how that shakes out down the road. Hopefully, probably only going to get
needs a lesson from Andy Reid and Bill on how to keep answers shorter. But I mean, you guys are reporters, so maybe you like it. But sometimes I listen to Nick and I'm like, you spoke for 5 minutes, but you didn't give me anything. It's one thing.
That's what he does. I think it's a calculated thing. He
does. Jim Schwartz used to do the same thing. Yeah,
it's called word salad.
Yeah, you basically run out the clock. You you filibuster and run out the clock. And if you do that, you have to answer less questions. But I don't think in Jim's case it was a legit strategy. Like that's what he was doing. I don't think Nick's that way. I think he gets, like I asked him about Anias dropping the damn football every day. Ironically,
without mentioning his name.
No, I did say Anias.
Did you mention his name? Yeah. I didn't think you did.
No, I said, how do you handle young players who are struggling with their confidence like Anias? And I gave him a chance. I said, I basically said he looks like he's fighting the football to us a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, I said, but how do you address it? Blah, blah. How do you handle a young player's lost his confidence? And he went off on this filibuster. But I don't think he was running out the clock. Like, I think he gets passionate about that stuff. And he went in and he gave a really in-depth answer. And the fact that, how many times have you been watching a football game and you hear a fan say, catch the football? And, Nick's like, well, what does that mean? He's trying to catch it. Why is he not catching it? That's how you look at it from
my buddy who I played football with for years always had a good saying. When people say catch the football, and he played receiver, he goes, yeah, but would you get there to be able to catch the football?
Well, that's part of it too. But even before you get to that point, like he's not trying to drop the football. Why did he drop the football is what he's saying. That's what you're trying to correct as a coach.
And Anias drops the football a lot.
Yeah, and what he's doing wrong, and he gave a pretty good answer. But to Xander's point, I don't think that's a filibuster like Jim would filibuster. I think that's just sort of like Belichick. If you get Belichick on a history question, he might go on. Your ear off. Yeah, he might go on for 15 minutes and burn up his whole press conference. But he's not trying to filibuster. He just gets passionate.
Bill has apologized to media members if he goes off on a tangent.
Yeah. And I think that's what happens with Nick. He gets passionate about something. And even if you look at the transcript,
he likes to talk.
He really
does. Yeah. And his last statement to me was, details are really important to me. So that's why I took extra time on your question.
Thanks to Nick, though, I probably know every member of his family.
Well, that part. And don't ask him a question about Larry Karras because you're going to be there.
Oh, you're going to be there a long time. You're going to hear about the entire history of Mount Union.
Yeah, you're going to be there for a long time.
Well, Jeff, wait, we just talked about one rookie receiver. The one that's been standing out to me, I'm not down there, obviously, but from talking to John, from reading reports from you, from reports from the other guys, I kind of like Johnny Wilson. I mean, I haven't seen him. What have you seen from the other rookie wide receiver, Johnny Wilson? Any truth to the rumor? Any truth that he might be a contributor on this team, or is he the camp darling of 2024?
I mean, Jalen trusts him. He's throwing the ball to him.
He dropped one yesterday.
He did drop one yesterday. Should have caught it, but he is finding ways to get himself in position to make that catch. And I thought he had a pretty good day 7, day 8, day 10, not so much, but I think the stock is definitely up on this guy. He certainly surpassed Anias Smith. If I had to pick 5 receivers right now on this team, I mean, you obviously got the 2, AJ and Devonta, Britton Covey, Johnny Wilson. I know they like Paris Campbell, but Paris Campbell can't get on the field.
He's got a groin. Yep. We all have groins, but he's got a groin injury.
Yeah.
John McMullen has a calf, I think.
Yeah, I have a calf injury. Like Christian McCaffrey, it happens to the best of us. So,
but he doesn't trip over tripods.
I'm not going to put a timetable on it, as I said on the show. That wouldn't be fair. I forgot to ice it last night, Jeff Kerr, and I've taken a bit of a setback. So
see, that's what happens. You got to stick to the routine. If you were in the Eagle Sports Science room, they'd be hammering you left and right.
Yeah, got to stick to the routine. But as far as the routine, Jimmy Kempski's media poll came out this morning. Stock up, stock down.
One of my favorite articles by Jimmy, by the way. He does a good job of that.
Yeah, he does it every year.
Yeah, he does a lot of good work, Jimmy Kempski.
Yeah, Jimmy's a good dude. Jalen Hurts was the winner for stock up. Now, I and I already put out there, I picked Kenny Gainwell for stock up.
You weren't the only vote, though, right?
No, I don't think I was. But my assumption, I never thought Jalen's was that far down in my eyes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You can't go up that much if you're already pretty high.
That's why I went Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, but I get why others selected Jalen because he's having such a good camp. I just kind of looked at it a different way. I didn't think it was that far down to go that far up. But he has been tremendous. So I want Kenny Gainwell. You want Quinyon Mitchell. Stock down, I want Anaya Smith.
I want Anaya Smith, too.
N'Kobe, a close second for me.
Jimmy was, like, explaining how close that actually was, and he still needed to get a couple votes, but
yeah,
he was doing, like, live tallying when he was getting the votes.
Yeah, so those are your stock ups was Jalen Hurts, which, like, come on. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, his stock was down. That's my question. His stock was down? I don't think his stock was ever down.
I mean, he didn't have a great spring, but I didn't think anybody was saying he's a bad quarterback.
I didn't put too much stock into his spring because I didn't care.
Whereas when I came into camp, I was like, well, Anias is a lock.
That's how I felt. Fifth round pick, he should make the team.
And now he's got to play well in the preseason. Now the good news is he's going to play a lot, and you see that's where the preseason games are important for guys like that, because he might show that he's that classic game day player, and maybe he's not the greatest practice player, and all of a sudden he's back in the good graces, and the Eagles are worrying about losing him on waivers, and he's back making the team. So those are the kind of guys.
Preseason can be deceiving too, because it's a guy who has to watch them all.
Well, I agree.
CJ Stroud was not great in the preseason last year, but there were like 2 or 3 throws he made, and I'm like, ooh, this guy might be something. He ended up being something, but
I talked about Rick. If you go back to last year's Baltimore preseason game, Rick's had the and you were there, Jeff.
He made the team because of that.
He had the pick, and that play was telegraphed from outer space by a fourth-team quarterback. It was like not an impressive play. It was, hey, you're throwing the football right at me.
You know what drives me nuts, John? When and again, nothing against Eli Ricks at all, but he was a 5-star recruit here, and he was a 5-star recruit there. I'm like, well, let me tell you something. I talked to a lot of those guys on that team. I can probably tell you who the 5-star recruits were because I was big into that stuff because I had to do it for a long time. Fred Johnson was a 5-star recruit. Thomas Booker was a 4-star recruit. You know where they are on the Eagles?
Hey, Fred's making the team, I think.
Oh, Fred's making the team. I think Thomas Booker.
Thomas has done some good things, but that's the point. Everybody's good in the NFL. I think people don't understand.
Yeah, right. You get in there, it's like, oh, this guy stinks because he's a 3rd string. He's still a great football player. He's in the NFL for crying out loud.
Yeah. Everybody's good. Everybody was good in high school.
One of my favorite stories last year was talking to those guys about their recruitments, and Booker was one of them about being a 4-star recruit. And Sua goes, I know I'm not on that database. I'm like, I don't even think you had a star. And Sua goes, I didn't have a profile, which is insane.
Well, Sua, there's something going on. I always say there's something going on at Weber State, because everybody who comes out of there
seems to be
obscenely strong. Sua did, I got to look it up. Sua did 39 reps coming out, 225 coming out of Weber State. And they all do. Everybody, check out the strength numbers from everybody at Weber State. It's unbelievable. Jonah Williams is from Weber State. He did some ridiculous.
You know what I think was a high recruit, John? I think Trevor Keegan was a high recruit. I got to look him up.
Trevor?
He's pretty good at Michigan. I mean, we'll see.
I can't remember. I can't remember if he was a 4-star. I think he was a 4-star. I don't remember off the top of my head. I gotta look him up. But
well, he went to Michigan.
Yeah,
and he played. I think he played every single year there.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good at Michigan.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do in his NFL
I mean,
career.
generally, if you're getting recruited to Michigan, let's see. He was recruited by Georgia, Penn State, and Michigan.
I knew Penn State looked at him.
I'm pretty damn sure that he was a high-level recruit.
He was.
If those are the three schools going after him. So
I was actually shocked the Eagles were able to get him when they got him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got I'm starting to think that he could be a long-term answer, but not this year. I mean, that was crazy. Xander and I would talk about that in the offseason. Everybody was like, oh, these 5th-round picks, they're going to step right in. And you've seen, Trotter's doing okay, Keegan's doing okay, and Isis had a tough camp.
Johnny was what? Johnny was the 6th, John?
Johnny was the 6th.
Johnny was the 6th-round
pick. So was Dylan McMahon, if I'm
Dylan McMahon, yep.
Which I don't think he's having a bad camp.
I haven't heard his name at all.
Well, he's
second team.
He's second, third team. He's okay. I mean, he is what he is. He's undersized. He's kind of athletic. He'll be around, whether it's practice squad or end of the roster. All of them. They don't like it. That's the thing about the NFL. They don't like to cut their draft picks anymore. Back in the old days, nobody had a problem cutting even a 5th-round pick.
So funny story. Speaking of NFL players, teams don't like to cut their draft picks. The year Fred Barnett, Calvin Williams, or Mike Bellamy was picked higher than both of them. Second-round pick. Eagles got him. Hey.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Period.
No.
End of sentence. You got those guys. I mean, they know, because if they cut their draft picks, they're going to get fired as GMs. Now, Howie's got more rope than most.
John, I wrote about this the other day when Sean Stevens had his good day. Do we think any undrafted guys are going to make this team?
They usually like to keep one, but it was at least one. But it was, and Howie talked about it a lot in the off season, that it wasn't a good year for undrafted free agency.
No, it wasn't.
And they signed a way smaller class than they usually do for that reason. And they spent more time with the futures picks trying to pick people off other people's practice squads. So if you look at the group, McAllen Castles is already hurt, so he's out. Gabe Hall,
the kid from Maryland, they already waived. They waived him like at the start of camp.
Yeah. IEG, they waived him. So who's left? You got Dankwa, he's not going to make the team. Yeah. Gabe Hall was probably the most high profile one. I haven't seen much from him. I thought Kendall Milton had a chance if they were going to keep a 4th back.
I think Kendall Milton's going to be on the practice squad.
Yeah, I think he might be on the practice. Andre Sam and Sean Stevens, who was a late signing. He wasn't even the first wave. So probably Stevens has been the best, followed by Andre Sam. But Stevens at the corner. There's no way he's making the team. They got
the numbers. Yeah, it's just the numbers are just against them.
There's too many guys.
So I would say Andre Sam, but he's practiced well. He's not making the team.
I don't even know if Eli Ricks is going to make the team.
He's not.
Yeah, it's like there's.
They love Eli Ricks's coverage ability. They might try to find a way to keep.
But are you putting him? How's he special teams wise though? Is he better than Josh Jobe?
Not even. Josh Jobe is.
Josh Jobe's a roster lock for me.
Michael Clay might revolt if he doesn't have Josh Jobe. He's a really good special teams player. So yeah, that factors into it. But the Eagles showed last year. That's what I was talking about. With that play in Baltimore with Eli Ricks, it wasn't even that good of a play, but all of a sudden it's on film and everybody. Remember, other teams don't get to see Eagles practice. So other
fans don't get to see Eagles.
Yeah. So other teams see the film of these preseason games and they place more emphasis on that. And that's what they're seeing. So if you make splash plays, and all of a sudden you're on the waiver wire, somebody might take a shot at you. So that's where a guy like Anaya Smith can turn the whole narrative around.
Right.
Return a kickoff for a touchdown, the Eagles are keeping them. Period. I don't care if there's 17 missed tackles, they're keeping him. So he's still got a chance to get back in the conversation.
That's where I agree. It's like you still. That's why I kind of wait to do 53-man roster predictions. I only like to do one. I only like to do two because it's going to change.
Yeah.
If I run one today,
and guys are going to get hurt. Guys are
Yeah.
going to get hurt. Unfortunately, last year Zach got hurt in Baltimore.
And wasn't that
Zach
the Eli
McPherson.
Rick story last year? He had the big interception.
The pick six.
Yeah, and
That's
Zach McPherson was going to make this team easily last year.
Is he going to make the team this year, Zach McPherson? No, right?
No. I forget he's even there, honestly.
Nicest guy in the world, but
yeah. There are certain guys like
shout out to our new member who just asked about him.
Yeah. Like I feel bad because there are certain guys I know that are on this team, and I know they are. I'm watching practice, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, he's on the team. Some guys,
but he's an NFL player, and he's going to be in the league.
Oh yeah, he'll find a home.
Yeah, but the numbers game is too steep here, and again. They might suffer 2 injuries in Baltimore, and all of a sudden he's back in the equation. So a lot of things can happen.
What's funny, John? If Josh Joe gets hurt, Zach McPherson's a good special team.
He's a very good special teams player. Yeah, you're right. So
it's hard to count these. Like I said, you know, Thomas Booker could walk past a bunch of people in Philadelphia, no one would know who he is, but I can play.
Yeah, and he's got some size to him too, and they're always looking for that backup nose tackle so they can play the defense they want to play.
Smart kid too, really. Smart.
You know, if Jordan Davis, we always talk about important players. Jordan Davis is important because they don't have an obvious backup. So if he gets hurt, they have to play differently than they want to play.
It affected them even in his rookie season when he got hurt.
Oh yeah, dramatically to the point they had to go out and get Linval.
Yeah,
to replicate at least his presence on the defensive line. If you remember, it was that game in Houston. They tried Marvin Wilson, and it was not good. And then Howie got on the phone very, very quickly. So they have PJ Mustafa, who you know, and
he's a good run stopper. But where's he fit?
Well, he would be fit as Jordan's backup, but right now it's Marlon Tuipulotu, who is good. Is going to make the team, but again, he doesn't create that same kind of presence that Jordan Davis does. He doesn't have that size.
I don't know if you're going to get that from anyone.
Sandra, you asked me about takeaway. That's actually one of my takeaways from training camp. I think their depth at defensive tackle is a lot better than what I initially thought it was going to be.
I've heard good things on Moro Jomo as well.
Moro Jomo had a really good camp.
Yeah, he's doing well.
That was one of my candidates for stock up, but I had to go Quinn Young.
Depends. Again, it's very layered. They're deep at 4-eye, or you know, the guys who can play 3 technique. They're not deep at guys who can play nose tackle. And that's Jordan's role. So
you know what, John, did anybody vote Cooper DeJean stock down, or did we just not care because he was hurt?
I care. I think people are nuts. Guys get hurt and people forget about them.
Cooper DeJean, to me, that injury just took away everything for him, at least right away.
It's crazy. It's like, who cares? He's out for 3 weeks, and everybody's like,
it's more than 3 weeks.
It's no, it hasn't been. July 24th.
No. I mean, it's going to be more than 3 weeks when he eventually gets back because the ramp up and
I get that.
That's what I meant.
I do think it sets him back in 2024. You know, I'm not worried about the career thing where, like John's like, if you want to have this guy for 9 years, who gives a shit about 3 weeks, which I get.
Yeah, exactly.
But 24, you know, I do think it sets him back, especially at the start of the year. So we'll see what ends up happening.
No, yeah, and exactly. He's no longer relevant for week 1. Before it started, if he was healthy, you say, well, maybe he's going to be a starter in the slot.
That was one of my bold predictions. Like, Cooper DeJean would probably start before Quinyon Mitchell. And it wasn't nothing against Quinyon Mitchell. It was they needed a slot corner.
Exactly. It was more the numbers.
And now that's out the window. But again, yeah, if it's week 4, I'm looking at Jimmy's thing now to see if he got any stock down votes. He did not. So at least people are smart enough to know.
I got to talk to Sidney Brown and see how that.
Sidney, I've talked to Sidney a bunch. He's ready to go. He's raring.
I mean, he looks like, you see him sprinting the other day?
Yeah, I mean, he looks phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, he
But
looks ready. He looks like he's ready to come back.
that's the Eagles medical people holding him back, because I talk about him all the time on the show. That's a 9-month injury from a healing perspective. You have to let that thing heal. Like, if we're up to him, he thinks he can play. He feels
He would have
fine.
played the first day of camp if it was up to him.
Yeah, he feels 100%. But the reality is that's an injury that you're at the latter stages, you're going to feel fine, but you're not fine. It's still got to heal.
Gold star player.
Yeah. Red Star. But yeah,
Red
the
Star,
Eagles
yeah.
Red Star. Yeah, he's going to be back early in the season. That's another guy people don't. And they say, well, you need a safety. You got to sign Justin Simmons for $10 million.
I wish people would stop with the Justin Simmons bullshit. My God.
Well, I
if
said
Simmons was any good, he'd be on a team right now.
I said that too, Jeff. Yeah, I don't know. People love him. It's the big name trap, but I don't think they're going for him anyway. Everyone's like, "Oh, Howie better move. He's visiting the Saints." I'm like, I don't think
Howie better move. Oh, Eddie Jackson signed. Howie better move. Adrian Amos signed. And meanwhile,
no one wants these guys.
I don't give a crap.
It's mid-August. No one wants them. It was a deep safety class to begin with, and these guys were past. Justin Simmons, I hate to tell people this, did not have as good of a year as people thought he had.
No, he didn't.
Jeff, thanks for joining the show, man. Good breakdown. We got through a lot of stuff through training camp, so we appreciate that. You even helped us with how we're all going to watch and consume the game tomorrow.
Yeah, cozy
TV. All right, John, are you going to be cozy in that press box tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm hoping I have a sight line. We're going to see.
I think they're working. I don't think any of us are having sight lines.
JAKIB Architecture coming soon to fix the stadiums.
Yeah. I joke, Jeff. You have to request the credential, parking, and the sight line at Baltimore.
Well, you and I are if they go by order of numbers, I think we're 3 seats apart.
I don't know.
You were like 1,000. Yeah, you're banging 1,000. I'm slugging 1,000.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the 1,000th person in the press box.
No,
in fact, I'm going to take it as they started at 1,000. So I'm going to
yeah, right. That's a better
No. See, Ed Kratz is 999, or Martin was 9. One of those two were 999. So maybe they started.
Weird. We'll see how it plays out. Jeff, thanks for joining the show, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week, probably. All right, man.
Yeah, I'll be on. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, bud.
There's Jeff Kerr joining us on Birds 365. Great stuff from Jeff Kerr, another guy who can dive into every position, every spot, every player on the team. And do it with you.
That's some Thomas Booker talk. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we get everything. I mean, that's what I love about this show. We get everything. We hear about every player. And I think the people who watch our show appreciate it. Speaking of the people who watch the show, John, got to give a shout out to 3 new members we added today so far. Stephen McKell becomes a member. Stephen, thank you, man. Officially a member of the channel and officially eligible to potentially win a Saquon Barkley jersey. Abraham joins. Abraham, thank you, man. We appreciate you being here. I see all your comments. Thank you so much. And then S. Betts becomes a member. S. Betts, thank you so much. We appreciate all of our viewers and all of our supporters who support the channel and make us grow. We are not backed by venture capital. We are not funded to the till. So every time you guys contribute to the channel with a like, a comment, a subscribe, a membership, it goes a long way. And we appreciate that very much. So thank you very much. We're going to get to our next commercial break here in a second. We'll have Josh Davis from the Philly Special Show, a great YouTube channel. If you're an Eagles fan, I watch Josh very often. He does a very good job on YouTube. Great editing, all sorts of great stuff on his channel. He does really good work. So we're going to talk to Josh Davis coming up in a little bit, which is great stuff. So we'll talk to him, see what he has to say about this team. I think he'll have an optimistic perspective, but we will see what Josh has to say. So we'll do that next. John, good stuff on that segment. I thought Jeff brought some good insight. As you said, he brought up some players you don't talk about often, which is always great when you get Jeff Kerr on.
And cozy TV knowledge, which we needed. So that's a positive.
Yeah.
Gotta put that on his resume, bullet point, cozy TV expert.
Agreed. Good stuff there. So, and then another new member joins, Killadell. Thank you, Killadell, for being here, for becoming a member. Can't thank you all enough. I mean, it goes a long way, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I do a lot of work on this channel. Johnny Mac does as well. Dan Cilio does as well, and we appreciate all the support. So thank you guys very much. Let's get to our commercial break. Josh Davis from the Philly Special Show coming up next on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.